Hello and welcome. Today we create art. I didn't have a red beret and I feel slightly underdressed, but I do have a red tricorn, so I choose to believe this counts. Very serious subject matter for us today. The iconic Bold and Brash. I'm probably going to muck this up, to be honest. Well, in fairness, I've done a couple of these now, but I have done them on canvases. I didn't have any canvases, so I have paper. I'm going to see how this goes. I'm also going to make sure I've got chat open so I can see what I'm doing this time. All right. Hopefully this is visible enough. I have another light, but it just makes that camera obnoxious to look through. So I'm going to not use it for now. If I end up needing to, then fine, but I'm going to try not to. So I'm just going to get started, to be honest, because I've not done anything like this for ages. And this is the closest I could get to the Squidward look. The jumper is not mine, it is my nan's. It does not really fit me particularly well. But, what can I say? Ah, hello. How's it going? Chat's over here, by the way. So, I'm just gonna be doing that a lot. How you doing? Welcome. This is probably gonna be a little bit ridiculous, so I hope you're ready for that. Right. I'm gonna start with a darker yellow, I think. Ooh, not used this in a while. Good, thanks. Hope you're good too. Yeah. Yeah, I'm alright. I am A-O fine. Just trying to occupy those slower, grayer days. Getting Bob Ross vibes from the setup. See, that was the other thing I'd considered doing. But if I was going to do Bob Ross, I'd want to have a wig for it, and I didn't have one. So it was a toss up. It was between the Bob Ross Joy of Painting and the Just Go with Squidward. So I went with Squidward, and it's all right. Aside from the tricorn not really fitting, but you know, it is what it is. At least I'm trying. Right. I need this. The setup is super, super sketch, by the way. It looks okay on stream, but this occupies most of my bedroom. So I'm gonna be leaning about all over the place, trying to not bash into things. Love to see it. I'm glad. I'm just opting for silly today. Haven't done anything silly for a while, so why not? Can't see behind the smoke and mirrors. Yeah, exactly. The magic of cinema. You'll never know. Got a lurks, I'm still working. Fair enough. I'm glad you could too. This is a nice surprise. I am pleased. I will just be here vibing for a while. Trying really hard not to flick paint everywhere. Particularly on the jumper, because that would be very bad. But in fairness, it's yellow at the minute anyway, so... And typically, I'm pretty clean with these sorts of things. I don't usually make a mess. First time for everything, though. So... I'm not counting any chickens, as it were. That's not bad. That's not bad. maybe slightly more yellowy. Yeah. I think it's a little too muted at the minute. As much as I prefer muted colours, just generally. I also don't own a paints, so I have a plate. So if the noise is horrendous, I apologise. I'm hoping it gets noise gated, but it might not. That's considerably better. Right. Now, to decide how to approach this, I think I'm gonna... Maybe I use the bigger one. Yeah, I'll use the bigger one. SMR vibes. I hope so. I hope that's what this ends up being. Because that in of itself, pretty funny. And I kind of rate it. But that was the other thing with the whole Bob Ross side of it. Because I thought that would be great if it was just a super chill, mellow, like, this is nice. Also, pro tip that I discovered when I was doing my Fierce Deity stuff. Makeup brushes are excellent for dry brushing things. If you've got a large area to try and cover, they are just obscenely good for that. So I recommend. Just don't expect to be able to get much colour out of them after the fact. This still has green in it. Yes, indeed. I'm glad you understood the assignment. And I fully intend, once I finish this, to actually put it in the bin. That is my intent. I am just going to drop it in the bin and end the stream. Just for the poetry. Though I am considering doing variations as well. Because Bold and Brash is the classic. But I was also thinking, you know, Bold and Brash, Bold and Brash. It's a stretch, but I was thinking Foretold and Brash. If I did some sort of like mystic looking thing, that'd be cool. Also, this is going to be a problem because I can't fix this easel at this point because it's a lever and it just knocks the board out of the way. So I'm going to be constantly dropping this. So you will have to bear with me on that one. I will do my best. I have to keep checking it's still in frame. Bold and brushed, yeah. There are options. There are so many options. And the more I think about it, the more I'm like, yeah, there are options. There's a fairly ridiculous amount of potential. And I'm kinda down. I did decide to sketch it before I started, because it just saves time. So, you know, there's no real mysticism around what it's going to be. But I don't know, I think that kind of ends up being part of the fun. I remember the last time I did this, I spent an unreasonable amount of time making the background as accurate as I could to source. I'm having flashbacks. Hope it's still in frame. Yeah, fine, okay. Going to be a little bit trickier because it's on paper rather than canvas, but oh well. Beggars and choosers and all that. At least I had some paper that wasn't like printer paper, because I'd have had no hope. Gotta go, unfortunately, but good job. Thank you. Thanks for stopping by. I may be here a while, I may not. I have no idea. It depends how long it takes for paint to dry, really. But thank you for stopping in. I appreciate the interest. And who knows, maybe if this isn't horrendous, I can end up getting some prints out of it. We'll see. Will only lurk, but keep up my other screen. Ah. Appreciated, thank you. Lurking is always welcome. Especially for these sorts of things. Kind of the whole vibe, right? Sort of hanging out. I don't know whether I'd call it magic, but I'll take it. It's certainly something. I've been wanting to do something like this for a while. Something that's fun and fairly, I was going to say easy, but it depends, because, you know, easy sometimes, other times not so much. How do I want to play this? I feel like I should probably leave it to dry for a minute. That's the thing with paper. That's why I'd rather not have to use it, but I don't really have a choice. Not really. So sure that I had a bunch of canvases kicking about. Went to look for them this morning. Nothing. It's gutted. can make it work on paper, but it's going to be a little bit dodgy. As someone who can only draw stick figures, it definitely counts as magic. I'll take it. Thank you. I'll tip my hat, as it were. I've got no paint on my fingers, I'm good. Okay. Panicked. No, I'm fine. Right. Still want to go slightly lighter with that. See if I can. See if I can go lighter. Without wrecking the paper. My main concern at the minute. Every chance I end up tearing it would be annoying. Right. Because I'm afraid of the paper just ending up wrecked. I'm going to say that's good enough. I'm going to say that's good enough, and I'm going to let it dry for a second. Because I'm going to have to go wash all the paint off this plate so that I can use it for the blues and greens. It's still in a decent enough position, kind of. It's gonna be an annoying one to see because of the white ring light and the wet paint. But there's not an awful lot I'm able to do about that one. So, oh well, I'm sure that's fine. Yeah. I'm gonna quickly go wash the yellow off of this palette, and then I'm gonna come back and start faffing with the blues and the greens and the back. So bear with me for a couple of minutes. Ops. I will return super quick. business. Which one was I using? It was this one? Yeah, okay, sweet. Sweet. Right. Blues and greens and stuff. Let's do that. So, I want to start with a darker one and make it lighter as I go along. I'm just deciding whether I want to outline it first or do that after. What does the source material say? That looks more like after. Cool. Then I will do that. Right. Bluey, greeny, greeny, bluey. Dark. I don't have green. This green, which I like. Let me try and do this. Ooh, that's very liquidy. Alright. It's a hazard. Some of that. Definitely gonna need some white with that. Also gonna want some blue. Which shade? Color matching is a whole thing. Definitely this one. Definitely this one. It's funny, I keep thinking, like, oh, I've not painted anything for a while. I have. Just not as, like, a painting. It's always been an object that is painted. Which? Yeah, I like that one, but that feels like more of an outline one. It might be a bit wide. We'll see. Right, let me choose a colour first. So I want to do basically all of this with do a little bit of this and see what happens. Yeah, that's hella dark. Okay. That's fine. Nix some of this, which will make it even darker, but it will then have the bluey tint to it. Because I can always make it lighter, so that's not a problem. Better, closer, warmer, maybe slightly more blue. That's better. Yeah, that's a lot better. Okay. Right. And I'm going to whack a ton of white in here. Yeah, good, 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 good. Okay. That's pretty decent. Because it will dry down darker as well. So I'd say that is a good starting point. Just want to make sure I've mixed it all in properly, because if I end up with a blue streak across something, I'm going to be annoyed. So, seems pretty okay. As far as starting colours go, I'm cool with that. So, that is my darker colour. Where am I putting you? Most places. Still debating whether I change out the brush for something else. Still seems a little bit wide. I've got a bunch of others, hang on. Let me have a look. I always trend toward using brushes that are way too fine, but also I prefer it a whole bunch. So I'm inclined to just do it anyway, to be honest. Let's see where this gets me. How dry? Okay, not bad, not bad. Not the worst. Yeah, that's super dark. That is not a bad thing. Not in this case. I'm really hoping my giant hat isn't blocking everything. Oh no, it's alright. Okay. Because I do want to keep it on. Just because it's silly. I will say, as much as I'm annoyed that I didn't have a canvas, the benefit of paper is that you don't have the texture. So when you want to get like a perfectly smooth line, it doesn't end up annoying and bumpy. But also it's paper, so it gets wet and it kind of crinkles. There. You're weighing it up, really. This was not my first choice. But at the same time, it has its merits. I wanted to do canvas for the bit, really. That was the whole purpose. It was just for the meme of it. Plus, a couple of friends of mine commissioned one for their new house, so I do actually still need to do that for them. As I say, I've done a couple of these now for a couple of different friends. They're funny. I like them. They always go down well. Pro tip: if you want to get like a perfectly smooth line, kind of draw with the very edge of your brush, and it's got to be totally loaded with paint. And you will get a smooth, clean line, and it's pretty great. Stylistically, I always prefer to do like the cartoon stuff because of those smooth lines. Just enjoy it a whole bunch. I'm not a massive fan of doing stuff that's like super realistic. Like for cosplay purposes, I can and I will, but objectively, I prefer the cartoon stuff. Like a mate of mine had a helmet. Sorry, dying. Mate of mine had a helmet, and he'd asked me to paint it for him, and I'd said like, "Yo, can I just get some creative license with this?" And it was an Evangelion helmet, and I ended up painting it so that it was like cell shaded. That was great. I loved that. That was so much fun. And that's the kind of stuff that I really like doing. And I keep threatening myself with a Borderlands cosplay just so that I can do that. Because I really, really want to. But also, I have so many things that I want to do. I'm kind of having to narrow it all down a little bit at the minute. That's something that it sounds so cringe, like, oh, suffering from success, but it's something that I have a massive problem with, is like, I call it the paralysis of potential, where there are so many options that you just kind of don't pick any. And like, I have the same thing with open world games. I love open world games. They're great. But they're only great up until the point I get distracted and put them down. Because when I come back to them again, and I don't know where I am, and I don't know what I've been doing, it's so overwhelming that I just start again. So it was only in the last, what, I think 3 or 4 years that I discovered how Skyrim ended. Like, I just didn't know, because I've never finished it. Because you always get to that point where it's like, okay, I've done all the companion stuff, I've done all the Dark Brotherhood stuff, I'm now just doing like the recurring quests. Meh. You know? Just meh. So I always end up starting again. So I just never finished it. And it's the same for stuff like this. There are so many things that I would like to do. And there are so many things that I start doing. And then I end up getting distracted with something, or something else takes priority. And I just never finish it. I'm trying to remedy that, though. Because I've got a few little bits and pieces on the go. And I have been periodically trying to get through them. I think a big part of, I suppose, working for yourself is knowing how you work and what works for you and what you are an absolute liability with. Because the whole time you're working under someone else, you've got at least some semblance of structure. It is some kind of linear, and you follow a thing. But when it's all down to you, it's just kind of, oh no, oh, there are so many things though. And you know, on the one hand, that's great. There's so much potential, and there are so many options. But on the other hand, it's like, well, now what then? And that's something I'm having to figure out. Because I love making stuff. I love creative problem solving. Like, it's not the same as like just say just, but like standard manufacturing. Like I've done that and it's relaxing, but it's not engaging because I'm not having to figure anything out. So it didn't last very long. I like having to find solutions to things. I like having parameters that I have to meet. But I like having the freedom to figure out how I'd get to that point. It's why cosplay is just my favorite thing ever, because it's all creative problem solving. Constantly figuring stuff out. Researching things and testing stuff. Learning all the time. Like any long-time cosplayer will tell you. The amount of cope, well, cope in general, but the amount of cope around like, oh, if I make a thing, then I'll reuse it for the next con and everything's fine. No, no, it's a massive lie. Because it's not about the end thing. It's about all of the nonsense getting to the end thing. I mean, obviously, the end thing is nice, but it's 100% about the process. And that's what I'm trying to find a line for at the minute. Because there are plenty of avenues I could go down. But it has to be something that kind of scratches that itch, you know? Because I think a lot of people that enjoy these sorts of things would say that, like, the idea of working for themselves and being their own boss is that kind of freedom is a lot of what incentivizes them to make that decision, right? It's not the case for me. I hate that. I actually hate it. I hate not having a structure, something that I can follow. X, Y, Z, do this, this, and this. Ta-da. I hate that. And it's a massive part of this. Like, I'm not gonna avoid it. There's no way. Oh. So trying to quantify all of that is actual hell. I'm just feeling my way through, I suppose. Want to be self-employed but don't have any safety net. Too scared? Yeah, massively. Literally cannot pay my bills if I don't get paid. They don't even know where to start. Sure, sure. And that's always been my thing as well. And that's always been what historically had stopped me, was that whole practicality, right? Like the cold, hard logic of this is nice, but also this thing that you're doing that you hate and sucks, you get money for it. So, and it's really hard to get around that and to kind of tell yourself like, okay, yes, but also it doesn't have to be just this thing that you hate. There are other options. And it's all scary, and I hate everything. Straight up, I hate everything. Every day I wake up panicked, and I have done ever since I stopped working at the last place I was at. But also, I know myself, and I know that if I slip back into something conventional, I will never do anything that I actually want to do because it's so much easier and it makes so much more sense to do the conventional thing that sucks. It just does. And it's the worst. But I'm determined that I'm gonna use that panic to fuel getting my shit together and doing stuff with my time that I believe to be valuable. Because the whole time I was in mainstream employment, I'd wanted to do this stuff. But it was, oh, I'm not going to get the time, and I've got this thing going on and I'll get around to it. I just didn't. And I knew I wouldn't. Learned so much about myself this past year, and I know what I need but can't obtain it. Can't start my own business because I'm too tired outside my current job. Exactly. And that was the big issue. It took so much of my time and energy to contend with the absolute bullshit that was my last job. I just didn't have anything spare. There was nothing else to give. And I put up with it because it was sensible and I could commute easily and the money was awful, but it was something. It wasn't worth the stress by any stretch, but at least it existed. But it got to the point that I stopped enjoying the things that drive me. And I stopped appreciating the things that I always have. And that was a hard line. As soon as I noticed that, literally same day, I wrote my resignation letter. Because that is an absolute no. There aren't many things in life that will push me over the edge. But seeing that, it's like, I've been depressed, right? Whole of uni, aggressively, clinically depressed. And it scares the shit out of me, the thought of going back to that. So as soon as I stopped enjoying stuff, that was it. No, absolutely not. because I refused to go back to that. There's no way. And it's rough, you know? It's rough, and it kind of goes against all of my fundamentals as far as being, you know, sensible. But it was also kind of necessary to get to that point, because nothing else was going to pull me away from it, because it made sense. So, not to say I'm glad that it ended up going down the way it did, but at the same time, if it hadn't, I'd still be there. And to be honest, I wouldn't have had the time to finish all the stuff that I did for MCM in October. There's no way I would have had the time for that. So I'm glad that I made the choices that I did. I just am not stoked over the methodology. Still trying to crawl out of my depression. It's the worst. It's the worst. And it's one of those things. From my experience, it's very much a case of nothing and no one can help you but you. And, you know, being in that situation and hearing that is irritating. 100%, yes. Because you know, right? But until you find something that, like for me, it was music, right? Music has always been the one thing that will really hit me in the soul, you know? And when I realized that I was listening to this and I just didn't feel anything, that was my tipping point. And everyone's tipping point is different, and everyone's got their line. That was mine. And from that point, it was just absolutely not. Under no circumstances, I will not. And I fully appreciate that everyone's gonna have their own stories and their own obligations. But I am glad that I made the moves that I did. Regardless of where I end up, I am happy that I quit my previous job in a fairly nuclear fashion. That's another story. And it was the least they deserved. Let's put it that way. I just think in my experience, depression is one of those things where everyone that cares about you wants to help you. But if you don't want to, make it sound like it's a choice, it isn't. But if you don't want to help you, you cannot be helped. And that is just how it is. And I think I'm lucky because I'm baseline aggressive. So hear me out. So when I encounter difficulties, I don't get sad, I get mad about it. So fortunately, when I first was depressed at uni and I recognized it, My exact words to myself were, fuck this, I am too stubborn to die. And that was the beginning of the climb up. That's just how I cope with stuff, is I get mad about it. And I use that to fuel whatever I need to at the time. And it's so tricky because everyone's so different, and there is no way of helping everyone with the same advice. It's not even advice, it's just my retelling of events, you know? Everyone's so different. And it's so difficult. People around you will only tolerate so much. Yeah, massively. Even though inside you're screaming at yourself, yeah. Totally. Yeah. No, and it's the worst because it's one of those, like, you know, you worry about other people looking at you and judging the way that you're handling things or not handling things, or, you know, it's the classic, like, that on your phone scrolling, and people can look at that and go, that's, lazy, irresponsible, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, no. Inside, you are drowning. Absolutely drowning. And nobody is more upset with you than you are. It's awful. It's awful, and it's so difficult to explain to people that haven't had to contend with it themselves. Because I didn't know until I ended up dealing with it, you know? I was very much in the camp of pull yourself up by the bootstraps until I ended up with it myself and realized, oh my god, you literally can't. You literally can't. You just have to wait for that fleeting moment, that one thing that sends you over the edge in a good way. The good way edge, not the bad way edge. But there will be something. I just, it just sucks. It just really, really sucks. And I think about it constantly with friends of mine who've been through similar, and you're always so desperate to help, but you're so painfully aware that you can't. And everyone feels differently about the whole, like, you're not alone thing. I've always hated it because I've always thought, well, it doesn't change the situation I'm in. But for some people, it helps. I suppose it not normalizes it, but makes it less isolating. So, whatever works, you know? Need a hyperfixation? Yeah, massively. Totally. That is 110% how that works. BG3 was definitely one. At the minute, I'm trying to think, what am I... Maybe that's a problem. I don't have anything that's a definite at the minute. So maybe I need to find something. Although, having said that, I have started... Hey, right, don't judge me, yeah? Because I appreciate that I'm obscenely late to this. But I have very recently started getting into The Lord of the Rings. I know I seem like I should have been on that years ago. I was not. I've so far managed to get through some audiobooks, right? So I can be doing other stuff. I've done The Hobbit, and I think I'm about halfway through Fellowship. But I need to jump back on that ship because it's great, and I see why people rave about it, but it's not quite a hyperfixation. Very into Critical Role. See, Critical Role is another one of those things that I looked at a while back and thought, oh god, that seems right up my street. Do I dare? I have considered it. I have very much considered it. But I keep shying away from it because it's one of those things like, I don't know, man, do I have time for another hyperfixation? I feel like I don't. Whereas at least with audiobooks, like, I can just slap it on and I suppose you could just listen to it, but no, it doesn't quite seem the same. So good, but yeah, a lot of episodes from the old campaigns, yeah. Already confirmed for MCM October, jeez. Huge, that's awesome. That's extremely hype. Yeah, I have thought about it. Maybe at some point, but that's the other thing, is like, if I was gonna commit to that, I'd want to go right the way back to the beginning. And really just kind of start from there. And then that in itself is time consuming. I suppose it does come back to that whole like, where do I even begin sort of thing. And that's another thing with like with BG3. I still haven't finished it. Still haven't. Because I'm in Act 3 and there's so much to do and see and uncover that I just got I had the same paralysis and was like, nope, there's too much. I can't do this. So I just stopped playing. And I have not gone back to it since. And it's atrocious. I am ashamed of myself. And I need to go back and finish it. But whether I will, I couldn't say. We'll see. Did go through a phase where I was talking about it with friends and we were all kind of threatening playing together for a less than friendly run. But as is the case with these things, it never happened and it never materialized. Who knows? Maybe I'll finish it at some point. Even as I'm saying that, I know I won't. No, I won't. It's just not in my nature at all. I am a starter of things, not a finisher of things. mean, even things like, now this is horrendous. Breath of the Wild, still haven't finished it. Still haven't finished it. All these years later, literally got it on release with the Switch. Like the day that it dropped, I pre-ordered that sucker. To this day, I have not finished Breath of the Wild. I don't know how it ends. And I have Tears of the Kingdom, but predictably, I have not finished that either. I've got Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity that I've not even started. I just have that. Oh, okay, right. The really horrendous one is Skyward Sword. And I don't actually remember why I haven't finished that. Because I was in the final fight with Demise. I genuinely don't remember why I just never finished that game. I think the last Zelda game that I actually finished was Twilight Princess. And that's horrifying. Because that shit's old. I didn't realize how old until recently. Shit's old. It's in my head, like, I was in my teens playing it. No. No. I was not in my teens. That scares me. Because my teens were a while ago. As friends of mine pointed out the other day. Because we were just thinking back to, like, school, as you do. And, saying, like, well, because we're trying to remember teachers. And I'd said, oh, I've forgotten a bunch of names, but it's not been that long. It's been, like, hang on, how many was it? It was more than 11 years, and that was not okay with me. No, that's not okay. And then I remembered that I am, what's today, 8th? In just over a week, I will be 29. How? How? Who allowed that to happen? That's not okay. I'm not cool with that. Since when was that a thing? That just feels thoroughly illegal. I've still got to figure out what I'm doing for my birthday. Actually, having said that, I do have a plan. It's a really silly plan. But, it's basically I'm being sensible with money, right? Because I have to be. And so I have literally nothing planned for my birthday this year. And it's also on Friday. So a lot of my mates are going to be at work. Fair enough. So my plan is to go and see a work friend's husband in his workshop to get some CAD training. Which sounds really, really dull. But I'm very excited. Because hey, look, it all revolves around making stuff. And that's the thing that I care about. So I am more than cool with that. when I told her that's what I was thinking, he'd said, "No, not on your birthday. What are you doing?" No, trust me. I want to do this. This would make me happy. So she's cool with it. If a little confused. But that's the plan. I learned some stuff on my birthday. Pretty epic. Pretty hype. And it all kind of is geared toward applications for future projects anyway. So the way I'm seeing it is just like, okay, cool. I just get to start my next project. That's hype. It's a hype thing to do on a birthday. I'm cool with that. I'd always rather be busy than not. You know? That's the biggie. What may seem unfun to most people can be fun to others. And it's a running theme with a lot of stuff that I enjoy. I'm not gonna lie. Everyone's got their thing. Mine's just a little more nerdy than others, I guess. It depends how you quantify it, I suppose. Coupled with the fact that I physically reject relaxing. Like, I take no enjoyment from it. So I just don't. I just think, why bother doing something if you're not enjoying it? Well, okay, there are exceptions, right? I suppose it's one of those, if something has a purpose, then fair enough. But for me, it's like, well, being idle doesn't make me feel any better, ever. So, why bother? Well, I don't. There's always something that a workmate of mine would rip into me for. It's like she'd spend her weekends chilling in bed with a laptop on Netflix, you know. That is my personal hell. That's like actual purgatory. Like, you could not pay me to do that. Under no circumstances. And she just thought that was wild. arguably, I'd say she still does. But she's just not surprised by it anymore. Like, she now knows what I'm like. And just kind of looks at it and goes, mm-hmm. Fair enough. I have never claimed to be any kind of remotely typical. Nor would I ever. I'd never try and drag anyone else into my idea of fun. But if anyone happens to be interested, then sure. I suppose I don't have any expectations, I suppose. Not for other people, God no. None of my business. No. My expectations are my own. They are only for me. And that's the way things should be. Because only you know what you value. Which feels like a colossal nothing statement. Like, safest take of the century. But it's not my usual 3 o'clock in the morning, so I don't have anything particularly sage to say. True wisdom only comes in those sorts of hours. I'm being facetious, obviously. Alright, getting there. Got a lot of wasted paint though, that's annoying. I'm usually pretty good at guessing these sorts of things. I was a little bit sweaty over the prospect of running out. Oh, I've probably given myself more than I needed. Hey ho. There are worse things. Especially given that most of the paint I have is from when I was in school, which, as we've established, is a stupid number of years ago. Actually, I probably worked that out, because 2018 is when I finished. Was it 2018? Was it? I was 18. It wouldn't have been 2018. Hang on. Was I 16? I'm pretty sure 2018 is when I finished A level. Fairly sure. Yeah, no, that makes sense. So 2018 versus 2026. Ugh. Okay. Then that's not. I feel like I'm getting this wrong somewhere. I'm gonna have to ask a mate of mine. I don't remember when we finished school. That's bad. That's really bad. Because I don't remember whether I was 18 or 16. But I'm fairly sure we'd established it had been like 11 plus years since we'd been in school. Fairly sure. I don't know why I'm giving this so much thought, because it's horrifying and I don't actually want to think about it. trying to decide whether I'm okay with this as it is or if I want to faff with it anymore. I'm leaning toward being okay. Just because I have a tendency to overdo these things. And if it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. So I might operate under that, to be honest. I just might. Okay. Well, if I say I'm then cool with the bluey greeny-ness, then I want to do purple for the little feets and the palm. No, I brought a purple in. Yes, I did. I only have one, and I've used this for years, and I love it. It's such a nice colour. Also, only going to need a tiny amount. What brush do I use for you? I think I use this one. Am I going to be able to get in there? It's going to end up too big. Maybe. Maybe I go for something smaller. I wanted to do the eye with this one, so I can get it quite pointed. I'm saving that one. What other brushes have I got? Okay, I've got tons up here. Hang on. Let me see. What if I went with you? You're pretty sketch, maybe not. What about... Yeah, I'll make do with this. Okay. Now I need a little bit of white. Let's just do it like that. Flat back there. That's gonna be too dark. Plus, I mix it with a little bit of that green and try and mute it. Try that. Okay, that works quite well actually. Yeah, I'll start with it like that. Then I'll just progressively add more purple to it after the fact. Roll with that. Yeah, it's kind of a grey then. I can get a fairly clean edge along there. Kind of smoke it out along here. It's not bad. Same premise. Smoke it out along. Go in to get that harsh line on the outer edge. Yes, that works. Then do the two little suckers that you can see just on the edge of his foot along here. They are teeny tiny. And I'll just whack some white into it and make it lighter. White and some purple. There we go, that's better. Okay. getting there, bless him. Doing his thing, living his best life. As is his right. It's just silly. It's just silly, and I love it because it's silly. Right. I'm gonna whack a little bit more white in that, I think. Just a little bit too dark. I can go back in with a kind of purpley grey. That will help. Be too much. Preempt that. Better. Much better. Yeah, okay. I rate that. Not bad. So that leaves me with just the eye, really. Now, can I get away with not having to clean this palette off? Probably, because it's only yellow. It's mostly yellow. Let me see. Ooh, maybe I can mix it in the lid. That's something I always used to do, because I am very accustomed to working with no space. I always used to mix paint colours just in the lids. So all of my paint tubes will have old colour mixes in the lids. Just, you know, it's easier, isn't it? And because it's only a little bit, I think I can get away with that. So I might a little bit of nostalgia. It's not good practice. I don't recommend it. But also, is what it is. And it does make me smile seeing all the old colours. That's a pretty good base. The whole thing is just so dumb. So dumb. I love that it is dumb. It will will never not be funny. I'm just going to make this bit slightly darker in here, because it is slightly darker than the rest. Nice. Yeah. And then it's quite a bit lighter around the outer edge. I can do that. I can totally do that. I think it's slightly lighter than that, though. I'm starting to understand the ASMR accusations. I don't think I've got a good enough voice for it, though. A friend of mine definitely does. We've been saying to him for years, like, audiobooks, sat-nav, train announcements, they'd all go hard. Immeasurably hard. Maybe he will one day. I would love it if he did. But I don't have that kind of voice. Not that I was ever aiming for it particularly, but it would be cool to have. It's definitely a flex. Gonna be thin enough? Yeah. Yeah, it should be. Or do I lean more toward red or brown? It's quite dark. It's like a dark red. So I think I take... See, I had a really dark red somewhere. It's pretty dark. Pretty dark, but it's not going to be dark enough. Not quite. I only need a tiny bit. Let me see if I can mix it with something. That's definitely not dark enough. Okay, I've got other bits here I can use though. But I don't want to... Yeah. This is the danger, because I'm so used to mixing stuff in lids. Now, having to stop myself from just using a paintbrush dipped in red to scoop out paint from another tube that is not red. That would be really, really dumb of me. So, go ahead and not do that. Right. That should be dark enough. So, we'll soon find out. That's pretty good. Dries down pretty good. Not bad, not bad. just want to try and get a cleaner line on it. Not bad. Not bad. I don't mind it. Not the worst that I've ever done. So I will take it for what it is. Still want to outline it though. I'm just debating whether I do so in paint or in pen. I think I did it in pen last time. Or do I just leave it? No, I definitely want to outline it. I've got paint here. I can just use that. What brush do I use though? How dark do I go with it? I've got other brushes. Any of these going to be thin enough though? Okay, that one's too feathered. Trouble, a lot of my brushes are old and battered. And if they split while I'm trying to draw a really slick line, I'm gonna be hella mad. That one seems pretty good. I'll try this. And if it doesn't work, then I'll be miffed. Just gotta make sure that it's really, really slick as lines go. So I'm going to water this down to absolute oblivion. And treat it more like ink than paint. I think the brush is still too thick. It looks decent enough smoked back out, but I think this brush is still too thick. I think I need an even thinner brush. Where are my Warhammer brushes? Didn't want to bust them out, but I might have to. Let me see. Well, that's obscenely thin. Come on. That's... I don't know, though. I don't know. Might be alright, actually. I mean, it's still obscenely thin, but it might be okay. Let's see. See how this goes. Okay, not bad. Half bad. Okay, I think I'll roll with this. Yeah, this will work. This will definitely work. I just have to be really careful with how I wash it out when I'm done, because it is obscenely fine. The only one I have its kind. But it is helping to get slightly wobbly outer edge. Because that's the thing, like it's not perfect. It's not meant to be perfect. But drawing the outline with a thicker brush in one motion makes it a little too perfect. So actually, going back through and kind of fudging that line up a bit, kind of makes it better. Rate it. I just have to keep going back and forth a lot. I'm okay with that. This will work. It does. It needs outlining. That is what makes this. That's what brings it back into the realm of cartoon. Although I do enjoy the idea of Renaissance Squidward. I don't know, man. I don't think I'm cut out for that one. Like, this is fine, but I don't know. I'm trying to think of Renaissance painters, and my brain has gone blank. My nan'd shoot me because she loves that shit. Well, she's more interested in Impressionism, but she knows a lot. I'm trying so hard to think of them, and I keep having like little flashes of maybe recollection. There's a whole bunch. I can remember exactly none of them. Very regal and old-fashioned Squidward. Yeah. See, that's what I'm thinking. Like, it could go super hard. I just did like a Squidward oil painting. In fairness, I've wanted to try like the girl with the pearl earring, but SpongeBobified. But I feel like I'm just setting myself up to fail. Like, haha, funny, but also really, do I really think I'm capable of that? And I think I'm capable of trying it, but I still don't recommend it. Just thinking Squidward would suit that one, yeah. massively. There are so many like famous classical paintings that would really suit SpongeBob. I don't know, we'll see. I definitely want to do more variations on Bold and Brash because it's just dumb. I imagine just like the hallway at a friend's house, just having every different variation that I've come up with just in a line. I think that would make an excellent feature. It depends how adult they decide to go with it all. Because we vary as a group. Like, some of us just kind of present everything in a very, very standard sort of fashion, and they'll have like that one room that is just a shitpost dungeon. But then others, like, it's pretty shameless, and it's just all around the house. So it'd be interesting to see how they decide to approach it. I suppose it depends on the kind of company you expect. Like, I know for me, it's a no brainer. Like, the only people that would ever witness my stuff are friends, so fine. It's the same sort of thing with my bedroom. It's like, whoever sees it sees it. Like, it's all very me, so I'm not bothered. Why, when it came to sort of setting stuff up to stream, I'm very limited on space at the minute that I can occupy, so it had to be in my room. And I was just kind of looking around, like, oh, but where do I set it up? It's like, anywhere really. So I tried doing it with the window over there, so that the light was better, but also it's grey and raining out, so you know. And again, I don't really want to turn this on because then that's going to get annoying. So I'll probably do it for the end so that we can kind of see how everything turned out in the better light. But for now, it's very much one of those, it is what it is. I tried. Unfortunately, I can't do an awful lot about the Great British weather. It's been snowing the last couple of days, which is, you know, nice on the face of it, but also kind of limits what I can get done. Because cold temperatures, so I can't use resins and such. And also, as far as working outside, not really. Been a lot of that recently. A lot of desperately wanting to get on with stuff and having no choice but to not. And that's why I decided I would find something that I could do from my bedroom to stop myself going mental. Hence, I am here in a red tricorn hat, painting Bold & Brash, because this was the sane choice. And that should say everything. Looks a lot nicer with that line slightly scuffed. To keep being really careful with how I'm approaching this. I don't want to lean on anything. But I also want to get the right angles on stuff. Yeah, I quite like having little paint marks around. Lends to the authenticity. Okay, then that doesn't actually go across there. I'll just come back from along there. Doesn't look like it actually outlines the whole of the purple. Just the tip. So dumb. Every time I look at his big dumb schnoz, it's just dumb. I was trying to think about the other Squidward paintings, but I think like this is the one, right? Because he had other bits and pieces in the art class hall. And I was thinking, maybe I'll look them up. See what else I can add to the collection. The collection of fine art. I'm debating where I sign this as well. I kind of don't want to shatter the illusion with just a big old friggin' signature. That would be a little bit shit. So, trying to think of subtle ways of doing that. or more subtle, I suppose. Yeah. The eye is also outlined in the same green, so that helps. Don't have to mix up any other colours for that. You'll love to see it. Why am I like this? You know, it's funny. I'd said to myself, like, I'll do the jumper and the hat as a bit for the start of the stream, and then, you know, I'll concede and take it off and do something vaguely sensible. No, no, it's all still on. Because of course it is. In fairness, I was planning to take it off because I was expecting it to get hot. I just never have. I do have my window open. But with the lights on, I was expecting to be warm. And then I just wasn't. Around that arm, and that continues down under there a bit as well. So I can do that. This is one of those things. I was like, this won't take me long. I can do one of these. And now I'm here, like 2 hours in, thinking, well, I always underestimate the time that it will take me to do things. Always. Without fail. So I have started doubling it. Whatever I think it will take me, I will just double by default now. So I had, in fairness, originally expected this to take me an hour. Coming up on 2. So actually, the formula fits. Now, going around the eye is going to be a little bit sweaty. Because as much as I like the wobbly line, around the eye is going to bother me. So I'm debating whether I try to make this super neat or not. Not the worst. Not the best, but it's not the worst. Don't mind it. Not in the grand scheme of things. Try and fix that. The only trouble with watering down the paint so much. it will not cover particularly well. If it's going over something that is of a different colour, then you will know about it. But all in all, that's not the worst. Not the worst. I don't mind that. Sorry. Just looking at it in the monitor from a distance, quite funny. Actually quite effective. Yeah, I ain't mad at that. I ain't mad at that. And it is pretty much bang on the 2-hour mark. So I think it's safe to say that took me a couple of hours. Which is an hour longer than I expected. But it's not too bad. It's not too bad. I've certainly spent a lot longer on a lot less. So yeah. I think I will. I'm trying to think about where I sign it still. So I usually sign things in pen and in the bottom left corner and also in black. But I'm kind of reluctant to do that because it's meant to be a meme. So maybe I'll just leave it like this for now and then I'll scan it. And at least then I have a copy of it without the bloody great signature on it. So yeah, you know what? I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. So thank you. I ain't mad. I ain't mad. I feel like this is going to be the start of a long and unnecessary shitpost. But I like where my heart's at with this one. Cool. Well, that's that. Did well. Thank you. Thank you. I'll if I try and switch to just the thingy view, the full screen. Nope, not that. Let me try and fix that. Bear with. This one? Ah, I think it's that one. No, it's not that one. I want the other one, damn it. Okay, bear with me. Bear with me. This one. No, yes, aha, cool. Right. My thinking being, if I do that, I can then do that. Aha, okay. You get a slightly better view now. Hope. Without blinding anyone. Maybe, can I move this a little bit? Kind of. Again, lighting is not working in my favor. I'm trying. There is my Golden Brash. I'm glad that he was worth your time. And now, as promised, I believe there is only one more thing that is left to do here. I have to move the light back out the way so that I can fit in this space. Right. Let me try and switch back. No. my camera decided to die. Oh well, I will stick with this field of view, and I will just do the thing anyway from here. Okay. So, apologies for mucking the camera about. But, I believe I had made a promise. So, thank you for tuning in. I will be back with more stuff tomorrow, I expect. Don't know what yet, but there'll be something. But for now, thanks for stopping by. And as they say, bold and brash, more like belongs in the trash. Thank you. I agree, I am hilarious. I'll catch you guys in a bit. Right. There we go. Okay. I'll see you guys tomorrow at some point for something. I'm not sure what yet. You'll have to bear with me. But yeah, thanks for hanging. And in a bit. Bye, Z's.